Tonight, we're hearing Ghana's oil reserves are left with about 2.5 billion barrels more to be produced if new oil discoveries are not made. This represents about 86% of the total oil reserves. There's more in this report.
According to Fitch Solutions, only about 400 million barrels of oil so far been produced from the Jubilee and Tane fields since the country began oil production in the year 2011. This signifies ample opportunity for Ghana's upstream oil production. However, ongoing technical issues at both fields provide some risks to the country's oil production potential. Previous issues have meant output at the Jubilee and Tane fields is currently capped at 70% of maximum floating production, storage and offload capacity. Nonetheless, Tullow Oil's recent focus on improving water injection efficiency and optimizing wells is set to enhance the field's output over Fitch Solutions' forecast period. This raises the prospect of increasing recoverable reserves at both the Jubilee and Tane fields. There are currently 49 injection and production wells at Jubilee and Tane fields planned between 2021 and 2030, with each production well projected to have an initial production rate of 10 to 15,000 barrels per day. Despite the company's ambitions, it is unlikely all wells will reach the desired initial production rates over the planned period, given the decline rates at the field. At the moment, the nation is still awaiting a boost from the Pecan field, which is expected to come on stream in 2025.
Well, joining me to discuss this further is Ishmael Ejekumhene, who is the Executive Director of the Institute, the Kumasi Institute of Technology and Environment. Great to speak with you tonight. It's been quite a while. Happy New Year, sir.
Many happy returns, Daryl.
All right. So we have 86% of our oil reserves yet to be produced until new discoveries are made. Do we treat this as good news?
Not quite. We've always known that oil is an exhaustible resource. It's not renewable. So what you find and you continue to produce, the reserve is bound to get depleted. So we've always known, and I mean, when we found Jubilee, we knew that the industry wasn't going to last beyond 10 to 15 years if we were to produce at its full capacity. So it is a signal, and I think they are telling us what we should have known long ago, that if we don't make new discoveries, what we have found will get depleted, and then there will be no oil industry again.
All right, you talk about new discoveries. COVID-19 pandemic has slowed things in the oil and gas sector too. So what sort of challenge does it pose to discovering new reserves? Is there any challenge at all?
It does. I mean, what it has done, the price of oil is a major determinant of how much money investors are prepared to pump into the industry. And when the prices are good, investors are prepared to invest. At the moment where the price is at the moment and the demand is so low, there's very little incentive for investments to go ahead. So exploration and development wells are all going to lag behind. So it has a direct impact in the sense that it's affecting demand, and it's a disincentive to investments.
And these reserves that we have left, the 2.5 billion barrels, how do we manage that? I mean, and I don't know for how long that will last anyway. How do we manage that?
It depends on the rate at which we are bringing them from the reservoir. So if you're doing 100,000 barrels a day, assuming we're able to hit there, now we are around 70,000 because of all the challenges. You just multiply by 365 and it tells you the volumes that we're going to lift in a year, and then you divide it by a number of years. It gives you a sense of how many more years we have to boast of this industry. So bottom line is that we really would want to maximize whatever returns that we're getting from the oil. So I think the investors are going to have to continue to recoup their investments and also maximize their returns on their investments. The real thing is we need to aggressively pursue exploration and make more discoveries. And those that have been discovered, we need to develop the fields before we can start talking about getting enough returns. But for the people who have already sunk money into the projects, they would want to recover their investment as quickly as possible so we can stop them. If all conditions are okay, they will continue to produce. And then if we don't make any new discoveries, we'll be left with no oil industry.
And how optimistic are you that there would be any new discoveries based on the challenges that we have right now?
Some discoveries have been made, but they need to finish with the appraisal and then the development of the well. So there are some projects in the pipeline that obviously would extend the lifespan of this industry, and new blocks have been issued. So we expect that they would also start aggressive exploration and make discoveries. We've proven that we have oil. So the fields that are being given out, the likelihood of striking oil is very high. But even when you've made a discovery, you have to develop the fields before you'll be able to get the oil out of there. But everybody who puts a cent into the ocean believes that they will make a discovery. And that's how we should all hope and trust that we're going to make more discoveries, possibly discoveries that are larger than the ones that we've found already.
You made an important point about maximizing the returns from the reserves that we have so far. How far have we done well, I should rather say, in maximizing the returns so far?
No, and I think we will be overflogging the issue if we start talking about the problem that we all know. We've said time and again that yes, we'll be able to tell Ghanaians that we've received over $5 billion. Bottom line is how the money has been utilized. And it's clear that in our attempt to solve virtually all our problems with the oil money, we've shared the money on small projects to the extent that there is very little to show. Not so much, not that maybe the money has been wasted, but yes, the way we've utilized the money is obviously led to a situation where, like we always say, we've spread the funds so thinly, so we are unable to put a finger on what we've achieved. So unfortunately, over the past 10 years, we haven't been able to do a lot. And some of us have been advocating for legacy projects that we could decide and say that henceforth we're going to use the money for this one project. And then so be it. And we find money for other things. But now we are trying to solve all our problems with oil money. And that's the reason why for the past 10 years, we don't have a lot to show for what we have received so far.
And I guess that's what makes it more worrying, this report by Fitch, that we've been able to utilize 14% of our oil reserves, but there's nothing to show. And so what's going to happen with the 86%? Well, moving on, the Ghana Statistical Service releases petroleum price index for December 2020, which was pegged at negative 4%. So in terms of petroleum production, we dipped negative 4%, but that is a major improvement, Mr. Ejekum, from the negative 15.4% recorded in May last year. I would say we are recovering, but with the pandemic raging again, I'm beginning to wonder what the outlook will be like for this year when it comes to petroleum production here in Ghana. What do you see?
Quite frankly, nobody knows what is going to happen. I mean, a lot will depend on how quickly the global economy is going to recover from the effects of the pandemic. And with what is raging in America and in Europe, once the winter is over, I don't think the outlook is that great. But I think the fact of the matter is that we are not producing an awful lot of barrels of crude. So our only challenge is the price. Otherwise, I'm sure our 100,000 barrels, 120,000 barrels, some people will coolly take it off us and pay us. But what is happening is that once demand is low, we are unable to get good prices. When we started production, we were in some cases getting over 110 a barrel. Now it's averaging 56, 60%-ish, that kind of price range. And if your production is also low, then you're not getting enough revenue. So the outlook is still very volatile. You don't know what is going to happen, but we only have to position ourselves to make sure that we take advantage once the market is looking good. So for example, if demand is increasing and we still have challenges with our production wells like the Jubilee and the FPSO, it means that we wouldn't be able to ramp up production to take advantage of increase in demand. But 2021 is still very unpredictable, and nobody knows whether we're going to do worse or better than we've fared so far.
Unpredictable, that's true. Thanks so much for speaking with us tonight. That was Executive Director of KITE, Ishmael Ejekumhene.